Welcome to the next video in the Suggestion App course. This is a complete course where we'll build a .NET 6 Blazor server application with MongoDB from the ground up. There are three things you need to know before we get started. First, this is part of a series, and this isn't the first video in the series. If you're just starting out, you should check out the playlist that's linked in the description to start from the first video in the series. Second, this course is actually a paid course. MongoDB sponsored it so you can put the videos on YouTube for free. Check out the link in the description to sign up for MongoDB Atlas for free to thank them if you haven't already. Third, you can also buy this course on imtimcorey.com. The link is in the description. Buying this course will get you all the lessons right away, the source code for each lesson, a certificate of completion, offline access, and more. It also helps sponsor more free content. The video will be the same as it is on YouTube, so feel free to watch the free version if you want to. Okay, let's jump into today's video. Note there may be more than one lesson in this video, since some lessons are short. Now let's address these three links up here. If you notice, they're hard to see, but admin profile logout, that's not really a great place for those, to have them just buried over on the left-hand side. No one's going to see those, especially in the color they're in. So let's address this whole thing. It's messy. So we're going to address these three, which is going to take a few different steps. So the first step is we're going to have to apply our classes, and then we can go on to apply the styling. Now, not on the index page, they're actually part of the login display page, which is going to be in the main layout. That's where this happens. So let's make some tweaks in this main layout. The first thing we're going to do is actually in main, we're going to say the class equals container XXL. This is a bootstrap styling thing. It's going to kind of shrink in our container a little bit and give it a little bit of a max width to it. Therefore, on really large, wide pages, it's not going off to the edges like it is right now. And then for our login display, we're going to say class equals the padding in the X direction of 5. That's not 5 units of 5. That's the 5th sizing. So, and then padding top of 3, and we're going to call this nav-links. That's our first layout identifier, first one that we're going to actually create. The rest are bootstrap specific. And then this down here, we're going to say padding top of 1. We're not going to do padding the X for our content. And that should be good. That will help us style where this is laid out. So let's go to nav-links now. We'll grab this and put it into our CSS. Nav-links like so. And in here, what we'll say is that the display is flex and the text align is center, and the justify content is going to be flex end. This is going to move them to the right-hand side. It's going to give them a flexible layout, and it's going to center each of them inside of their own spacing. So that's part of the solution, but we also need to go to the actual login display here. And in this, we need to add some classes to all of our anchor tags. Class equals login link. Again, that's one of our classes we're going to create. Let's apply this to every anchor tag. That way they would all be uniform. So all of them will have that same login link uniform look to them. And then we'll grab just the login link CSS. So we have that, and we'll go to our CSS, and we'll say that the login link that has a padding left of 1 rem. This will give us spacing between the items. That way, each of the items will have since they're right justified, they'll have a little bit of space between them and the next element over. So that gives some spacing there. But the coloring still isn't right with our anchor tags. There's that blue, which you have a blue background. That's not right. They also have the underlines of links. I don't like that. We're going to take those off. But I think we should apply this to all anchor tags. So we go to the very top of our CSS. In here, you'll see for anchor tags and items, they're indicated as a btn-link. Right now, the color is that. We're going to change that. So the color is white, 6 Fs. And also the text decoration is none. That decoration is the underline that anchor tags normally get. Let's try this out. Wait for it to load. And when it does, we'll see that the anchor tags are in the upper right-hand corner now. And there's some spacing in between. They look nice. The hover is not right yet. We got to fix that. But the look otherwise is correct. So let's go fix that hover. We could actually, well, I'll move this off the screen and we'll see if Hot Reload will actually fix it for us. We're going to come down here to our A colon hover, and also btn-link hover. And we'll say for these, the color is going to be still the white, and the text decoration will add back the underline. So if you hover over it, that's when you get the effect that's going to cause that to work. Now notice it's still not working here because of the fact that I'm in a CSS file. It didn't register that the CSS applies to this. But if we hit refresh, it should be, there we go. So now the only thing that happens when you mouse over it is that it applies the underline. That's it. So this gives us an indication that we're hovering over something, but it's subtle. It's not a rapid change or a major change in how it looks. So that takes care of the login links right here, the admin profile logout. That takes care of the links for us and make sure it looks nice. So I think that takes care of all our page. Notice we now have this shrunk in a little bit. The left hand and right hand gutters are quite large now because this is the maximum width. If we shrink this down, let's start like here. Whoops. If we start here, the gutters are very wide. As we get smaller, those gutters shrink, never go away, but shrink so that it doesn't look like we're on the edge of the page, but yet we're using a significant portion of the page as much as possible until we get to the point where we are so wide that it just doesn't make sense to keep stretching. So we stop at this point. This means that if we have our website viewed on an ultra-wide monitor, it's not going to look horrible. It's going to center our information at this very size. Like it's not going to get any bigger than this. So it will not be massively stretched out and hard to read because you have to read so far left to right. It's going to make it at least more usable on a ultra-wide monitor. So that's all we need to do there. We can close out of these two things. And now we can move on to the next page that needs styling. Let's take on the Create page. Now we broke up the index page into multiple steps, but for the Create page, we're going to just start and try and format the whole thing all at once, both the CSS and the structural layout. So let's start with the structure. So as in the classes. So class equals page heading. That's a reuse. We don't have to do anything for that class. And we'll say text uppercase. That comes from Bootstrap. And margin bottom of 4. So that's our make a suggestion header. Our headers will all look pretty much the same there. So then we'll have the class here. It's a row and justify content center and create form. Only the create form will be something we have to put in our CSS, and then this is actually only going to be for mobile formatting. We don't need it for our main formatting. So we'll leave this as an unused class for now, and that's okay. And then we have our section here, class equals call XL-8 and call LG-10. And this is a form layout, and that's a custom class. So this says it's 8 columns wide in the extra large sizing for Bootstrap. And if you go to the large sizing, it's 10 wide. And if you go anything smaller than that, it's going to be the full width. So that's our form layout. Next is this div right here, which the class equals close button section. So this is our close button, and this is going to have a class of btn and btn-close, and that will apply that X for the X icon for closing it out. So, oops, we never moved our edit form into our if. Let's do that. There we go. That's one of the dangers of waiting to do that. But this way we have our edit form properly in the if statement. So as long as the categories aren't null, then we'll have our edit form. Our edit form is has the data annotation and validation summary. We'll leave those alone, but then we'll start in on this div, class equals input section. And we'll do this for all the classes in here. So we could copy and paste. I'm not going to do that yet. I'll wait to do that. I don't want to get confused as where we're at. Next up, we have our label. So class equals, and we have form label. This is part of Bootstrap. And then font weight of bold and text uppercase. So that's our suggestion. Let's unpin this so we can see a little better. That's our label for suggestion. Then we'll have our class right here. Class equals input description. We will format that class. We'll create a custom CSS for it. And we do have a class here as well, form control, and that's part of, again, Bootstrap, so we don't need to actually do anything with that. We'll follow the same pattern here, so let's format this one. We'll format this one as well, and for the button, I believe the button does not get an input section because it's not an input section. So label, we have a standard type of label. We'll do that for all of our labels as well. It's just those three classes, form label, bold, and uppercase. And then for description, the description will be the same as well. So let's grab this and we'll paste it on choose one category and on briefly describe. So those are the same as well. And then our inputs, we have form control for this. We're not going to have form control for the next one though, but we will have it for the last one. So let's grab this, and this text area is also a form control. So let's address the middle section here in the input radio group. So this is an input section. I missed this one. Whoops, I'm sorry. No, this is a class equals, and we're going to say call LG-8. So this section is around the my input radio group. And then we'll have the div inside is going to be a class equals radio item group. So that's going to apply to the overall styling of these two things. Remember that radio items are those little round circles, and then they have the text next to them. We're going to take those circles away. We don't want those circles. So that's the only formatting in there, is just this radio item group, which will handle a lot of the heavy lifting for making these look great. Okay, so with that, I think that's all of the classes we have to apply until we get down to the button. So this button section down here, class equals center children. And the button is going to have a class, or a few classes, btn, btn-main, btn-lg, and text uppercase. So that's our classes being applied to our code. So now what you do is start going through here and using these classes. So as you come down, create form, like I said, that's going to be just for mobile layouts. But form layout, this is one we have to actually put into our CSS. So we'll come to the bottom, and we'll say form layout. And inside form layout, we're going to have background color. It's going to be white, which I can use the 6 Fs. And then we have border radius, and that's the 15 pixels. It's the larger border radius. And padding is 2 rem. But then we're also going to have inside of there, so form layout anchor tags. So any anchor tags inside the form layout are a font weight of 700, and the color are going to be the blue, which is 39 BAD8. And then if you hover over those, so we got form layout anchor tag hover. Inside of here, we're going to have the font weight also be the same. So make sure we change, otherwise it will change for us. So this way it stays the same, but also text decoration will do an underline. So technically, as far as tabbing goes, it's more like this. But that's our layout for form layout. There's multiple sections to it based upon the various pieces. Now we have the close button, I believe, the close button section. Yes. Let's grab that and we'll paste it in. The close button section, we're going to do a display of flex and justify content to be the flex end. What that will do is it'll move the button to the end. So next up, let's come back over here, and we have this input section. So input section, margin bottom is 2 rem. That's going to put some spacing between our different input sections we have. And then we have right down here, input description. That's the description of what this particular section is all about. So input description, margin bottom is going to be 0.5 rem. So half of our font size, which it's currently going to be 9 pixels is what that will represent. Okay. Next up, it's going to be the big section, I believe. So we have the input description. The rest of this stuff is boilerplate until we get down to in here, radio item group. This is the kind of the more complicated one because of the fact that we're going to be wiping out or hiding those little circles, but yet using them. So let's select radio item group and come back over here and we'll say radio item group input. So the input's underneath the radio item group where the type equals radio. So this says, oops, gotta use the dot in the front to indicate a class. So radio item group, underneath that, any input that's of type radio. Display none. So hide it. And by saying display none, we're saying don't even hold the space for it. So there's also visible equals false, but visible equals false, what that does is it hides it, but it keeps the spacing on the page. If you say display is none, it takes away, it doesn't hold any spacing, therefore it's like it wasn't even there. And that's what we want. But then we also want to do some more formatting here on the various items inside the radio item group. So radio item group, label. So these are labels inside the radio item group. Border color, we're going to do the blue, so 39BAD8. The border width, 1 pixel. The padding is 0.3 rem and 1.5 rem. Okay, so as the two different directions, the X direction and the Y direction, that's I believe it's the top and bottom are first and the left and right are second. So top and bottom are going to have 0.3 rem of spacing. The left and right are going to have 1.5 rem of spacing. The border radius is our normal 10 pixel border radius, and the width is 100%. And border style equals solid. So we broke out the border width and the border style and the border color into 3 separate things instead of having them all in one, but it's the same basic idea. Okay, now we get into the more complex CSS querying. And you have to work on following along this one. But we've got the radio item group where the input is of type radio, where it's checked, and it's the label afterwards. So this is the label associated with a checked radio element. I want the background color to be the this color. So background color is the blue. The color is going to be white. That's the font color, 6 Fs. The width is still 100%. And the border is going to be 1 pixel, the blue color, and solid. So that's when you select one, you're going to see that it's going to change to the blue color and have a white text as opposed to being the white color with a blue text. So that's the difference in how it looks. And then we have some more interesting ones. So radio item group, input, the type equals radio. If it's focused, it has the focus, then the border is 2 pixels dashed and this color, which I don't think we're actually going to use this at all. Let's leave this off because I don't think we're going to use this. That was kind of like an old code kind of thing. And radio item group, which do we have? We have a specific just radio item group. We do not. So it's radio item group. Let's put the margin to 0.5 rem. Okay, that's a lot of changes. So let's see this in action before we go any further on the create page. So I want you to see the difference in how the radio buttons look now as opposed to what they used to look like, which is those circles. So we should be logged in still, so we can go to suggest. And first of all, notice nice layout. We have an X button in the corner, which by the way, click that and it closes it out. Kind of nice. Suggest. Notice the categories are these blue outline, black text, white background. But if I click one, it turns to blue with the white text, and it's very obvious that's the one that's selected. But there are no circles. There are no radio circles because we don't want to see them. They're ugly. So I'm hiding them and I'm just showing the label. But with a radio item, if you select or click on the label, it's like clicking on the circle. So this selects the circle even though it's not visible. So that's the way we're getting this to work. It looks really nice. Our suggest button's a little wonky still. We have to fix that. But now we have a page that looks a lot more like a nicely formatted creation page as opposed to the ugly standard form we normally get. So we're getting close, but now we have to come back over here and look at the center children, first of all. That's the next thing that is different, the next class. Center children, and this is going to display flex and justify content to center. We're using this quite a bit. And then inside of here, we have btn-main, which we have not yet specified. So let's go ahead and do that. btn-main, and that's going to have a color of white. When you ever see color, that means text color. Background color means the background. And this is going to be the blue. And the padding left is going to be 2 rem. Padding right is going to be 2 rem. The font family is going to be Montserrat. And the sans serif as the fallback. Font weight, if I can type right. Font weight, there we go, 900. And the border radius is the standard 10 pixels. And the border width is going to be 3 pixels. Now, we also need to have a hover on this. So btn-main hover. And this will have the color change to the 39BAD8, that's the blue. Then we'll have the border color be the same. Then we'll have the background color be the white. There we go. And the border width will stay the same. Okay, and I think that's it for btn-main. Let's try this out and see if the page looks right. So wait for it to load. We'll maximize, start with, go to suggest, and now we have a suggest button. If we mouse over it, it does a border here and it still says suggest, but it's now, it looks like we've moused over it. Like it changes and indicates that clearly. So I like this. I think that this works. The page seems to have all the content we need to on it. So let's call this probably good. Yep, I think this looks good. The close button looks nice. The form looks good. So let's close this out, and we'll stop there. And then what we'll do is we'll go on to the next page that needs to get formatted, and which I believe is going to be the suggestion detail. This page right here, which looks a little, it struggles right now. So we'll make this look a whole lot better soon.